and welcome. This is going to be the first episode of the FullBack Dive podcast. I'm going to be your host, Tyler Hobbs, and I just thought I'd give you guys a little breakdown of what the podcast is going to be like and what I'm trying to accomplish with this. Some of you guys may be watching from my previous podcast that I co-hosted with one of my best friends, Brennan. That was the Stack and Shed podcast. We ran that for about a year. That was, first podcast experience. A lot of fun. Sadly, we really can't really do any more episodes for that. But I am definitely going to look to have Brennan here, on the podcast. He's a great source of knowledge. And if you guys just even listen to him talk football for a few minutes, you guys know. So shout out to Brennan. He's been a huge supporter. He approved this. He thought this was a good idea. So shout out to him first. A few other people. Thanks, for your support. You guys know who you are. Biggest supporters, Maverick on Twitter, McGarvin, Sean. You guys know who you guys are. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And I look forward to giving you guys, and even more people, my thoughts on football and my perspective. Now, I am a current student at the University of Southern Mississippi. Go Golden Eagles. And I am I'm looking to become a coach, or even a scout in football. But I definitely want to work in the field, get experience, and this is one of the the first steps I've taken beside the Stack and Shed podcast to really reach out, get my name out there. But more importantly, beside that, I just really love talking about football, and this is a great vessel to do that with. I look forward to interacting with you guys, both on Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I will link that in this video. I'll normally be doing this on a stream, but technical difficulties aside, this will be a recording. Today's episode won't be very long. I don't really have a schedule for it. Currently, kind of thinking a couple times a week. Maybe if there's some breaking news, I'll hop on the stream and talk about it for a few minutes. But just as much as I can, as much as my schedule will allow it, I want to talk to you guys, see what you guys think about it, give you guys my perspective on it. And at the end of the day, just talk about football. And I think that's something that we all like to do. If you're watching this, you probably like football, or you're one of my family members, but we'll do it. So without further ado, I guess we'll just jump into the craziness that's been the last few days of the NFL. I'm sure, as a lot of you guys know, this happened yesterday. The big news, we'll talk about in a minute, but minor news: Aaron Rodgers. It's been, I don't know, we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers for almost a year at this point. Is he going somewhere? Is he staying? What's he doing? What's he not doing? Well, he's finally kind of decided he's going to stay in Green Bay. There's been rumors that there's been a contract, but apparently that's not true. He said that's not, he hasn't signed a contract of the report, which was $200 million, $150 guaranteed over 4 years. But again, that's not verified, so we don't know what the contract is. We probably won't know for a little bit, maybe until after free agency, when we see what the cap room looks like. But beside that, Green Bay is keeping their quarterback for the foreseeable future. Now, is that the best move for the franchise? We'll have to see. Personally, hey, if you re-sign an MVP, normally a good thing. However, the cap situation is going to probably catch up. Now, I know a lot of people say cap doesn't exist. A lot of people, I would probably be one of those. However, it's going to eventually become an issue. And when you franchise tag Davante Adams on top of bringing Aaron Rodgers back, eventually it's going to happen. We'll have to see. But as of right now, Packers are in a good position. They're in a chance to, maybe get back to the NFC Championship game. Maybe get over that hump that they just haven't been able to do the past 4-5 years. So that's pretty good for the Packers, but the big news was not that. Rodgers didn't get long in the spotlight. The big news was obviously Russell Wilson. He has been traded to the Denver Broncos. Brennan would be excited. Me, not so much. But the Russell Wilson trade was huge. One of the biggest trade packages we've seen in a deal in a long time. Here's just the breakdown of the trade. The Denver Broncos are sending 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. I believe a 5th-round pick as well. They're also sending Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, and Noah Fant to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson and I think a current 4th-round pick. Now, that's a huge trade package, and it's a lot for a 32-year-old quarterback. However, this is a Super Bowl winning guy, and the Broncos obviously think they're just a quarterback away from competition. So if they think that this is really the move, it's really not much. If you're going for a Super Bowl and you think this gives you your best chance at a Super Bowl run, go for it. So I think, obvious day one winners would have to be the Broncos. But if you're looking at this trade package, there's a name in there that really sticks out, and that's Noah Fant. I would call Noah Fant a borderline top 10 tight end. You could even just argue top 10. There might be some arguments. He's kind of in that Mike Geseki range of tight ends, but, he's a very valuable guy to have on your team. And to get rid of Noah Fant means Albert O, I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I don't know it. That's a risk. The Broncos are hoping definitely that they're going to either draft a tight end or get one in free agency. However, you get Russell Wilson. So is it worth trading in, maybe a top 10 player at his position for a guaranteed top 5 quarterback? That's yet to be seen, but now we have a case study about it, which is pretty good. And from the Seahawks perspective, you have to be really worried. First of all, they didn't get rid of Pete Carroll. And I'm not saying Pete Carroll is a bad coach. However, he's an older guy, and his scheme has definitely shown not to age well in the NFL. They're still running a lot of base coverages, not really a lot of creative blitzes coming out of Seattle. That's a worry. And then when you add on top the later news that happened after the Russell Wilson trade, they got rid of Bobby Wagner, just straight out cut him. I think they saved about $16 million in cap, which is great, except you're losing a perennial all-pro type linebacker. That's a concern. I think the Seahawks are just blowing it up. The only issue is, why would you keep a older coach who isn't really evolving with the game for a full rebuild? And that's what's really the head scratcher is. Are they maybe trying to target Deshaun Watson? I don't know about the legal case. I'm not going to argue that. That's a whole episode. I'm not going to talk about that. But are they going after him? Are they going after another quarterback in the free agency market, like a Trubisky? I don't understand it. And it's a trade. They got Drew Lock, but he's not, I don't think, the quarterback of any future. So what are you going to do here? It's a questionable decision. You have to imagine there's going to be more cuts and trades. Tyler Lockett is probably not going to be a Seahawk at the start of the season. You have to start wondering about guys like DK Metcalf, because why have a receiver who's that good if you don't really have a quarterback to throw to him? Does DK want to be on a rebuilding team? We don't know. And so at the end of the day, there's a lot of question marks around the Seattle Seahawks, and a lot of them need to be answered pretty soon. If they're going into a full-scale rebuild, they need to have a direction. And I don't know if Pete Carroll is the one you want directing that. Personal opinion aside, you have to be happy just on the pure value you got off Russell Wilson. There's been rumors that he's wanted out for a year now. There was the Chicago rumor last year. There was even some rumors starting to kick up about Chicago again this offseason. Although eventually, Justin Fields kind of ended that. I don't know. I am not a huge fan of the trade from the Seahawks perspective. However, if they hit on those first-round picks, who knows? They might be able to do something with this. But until then, until we know for sure what rookies they get out of this and how they manage that cap situation, you have to think the Seahawks are one of the worst teams in the NFL. No offensive line to speak of. The receiving core could be gone. Defense was really not good. Jamal Adams is becoming an albatross in the NFL. I mean, what do you do in that situation? We'll have to see. I just hope that they can find a direction and stick with it. Some of the other, minor news that came out. J.C. Jackson, from my Patriots, didn't get franchise tagged. That was kind of glaringly obvious the last few days. He's definitely hitting free agency. I say it's like a 20% chance he even comes back to New England. He's demanding cornerback one money, and I think he deserves it, flat out. One of the best corners in the league, best playmakers you'll see in the league. I think he deserved All-Pro over Trevon Diggs. That's a different argument. However, the thing with New England is, what are we going to do at cornerback now? This draft has a lot of great talent. Kamar Elam, Sauce Gardner, who probably won't be there at 21, but all this corner talent. Will we go after a corner day one, or will we go after the free agent market? We'll have to see. But losing JC, I think a lot of Patriots fans are overreacting to it. This isn't new. This isn't a new way of operation. New England just doesn't pay the heavy star players. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Bill Belichick has this philosophy that if, a guy is pricing himself out of New England, instead of forking that price over, take that cap room and improve other areas. So, for example, the linebacker depth. Maybe strengthen the offensive line. Trent Brown, kind of a question mark, as well as Isaiah Wynn, who had an up and down season overall. Will he take that extra bit of money from JC, which was looking like about $16 million, convert that into the defense, the offensive line, or maybe even a true wide receiver one for our quarterback? We'll have to see. But Patriots fans are really overreacting to this. You'll see it all over Twitter. They are having a fit about it. I'm kind of on the fence. I saw Chandler Jones gone. Jamie Collins get traded. We just saw Stephon Gilmore get traded 11 games before he was set to hit free agency. And then we only got a 6th-round pick out of him. We were going to cut him anyway. But, this isn't new. This isn't a new operation, and it's worked a lot. So I'm not exaggerating it, but a lot of fans around the league think, Belichick's having a mental lapse. And I guess we'll see. But anyone who's shocked by this news, I don't know how to tell them. Doesn't make sense to me. Some of the other notable franchise tags. These are guys that got the franchise tag. We'll talk about a few of them. Chris Godwin. That's a bummer. Chris Godwin was my number one free agency fit for New England. We'll do some more episodes like that where I'll break down into more depth. This is just kind of the cover episode. Hopefully it even gets uploaded. But Chris Godwin, I really wanted him in New England, but he's going to probably be staying in Tampa Bay for a long time. They couldn't work out that contract extension, probably because of that ACL injury. That probably really clouded a lot of what they wanted to do with Chris Godwin. However, hopefully he does get his paycheck because he deserves it. He's one of the top receivers in the game when healthy. So let's hope Chris Godwin comes back healthy and gets that money. Jesse Bates, this is a name, he actually got some more prominence with the Bengals Super Bowl run. I love Jesse Bates, one of the best safeties in the league. He's criminally underrated, mainly because he was playing in Cincinnati. However, he's finally got his recognition, got his franchise tag, and hopefully the Bengals will be able to re-sign him. I know they're in a little bit of cap situation, not a lot, but just a little bit. But if they can, shell out that money for Jesse Bates, that's a huge investment. But the franchise tag isn't bad for him either. One of the franchise tags that you're going to see a lot, and I didn't really get it, was Cam Robinson of the Jaguars. Now listen, Cam Robinson is far from a bad player. Far from it. He's had a solid career. A lot of people have kind of overestimated what he's done because he's been on a pretty bad Jaguars team. However, with that being said, if the Jags truly believe Cam Robinson can be that guy at left tackle, that takes Evan Neal off the board. And if Evan Neal's off the board, then it means they're probably going edge rusher at pick 1. I don't know if I would do that. I would probably go Evan Neal. We'll do a mock draft, I promise. But the Cam Robinson franchise tag was the one that really had me scratching my head. It's expensive for left tackles. It's really an investment. You can't franchise tag someone and then just let them walk. This is an investment the Jags are making. With the extra salary cap, I guess it makes sense. But are they really going to have Evan Neal play right tackle if they draft him? I don't see it. Orlando Brown from the Chiefs got a franchise tag. That wasn't surprising. We kind of knew that the moment they traded for him. He was a franchise tag candidate. Not a surprising move, but protect Mahomes. That's the Chiefs' objectives. A few more, all tight ends. Mike Geseki. Now, I know you guys, if you guys watch the Stack and Shed podcast, you guys will know I am massively high on Geseki. I think he's a top 7 tight end. You could argue top 5, and I wouldn't blame you. Wide receiver in a tight end's body, plays more wide receiver than tight end. He's actually arguing, I think, with the NFL to classify him as a wide receiver. I don't know what the status of that is, but that's not a bad case for him to make. He has a really good case that he is a slot receiver / outside receiver more than tight end. Different video, though. Dalton Schultz, the unsung hero of the Cowboys season, really made that offense a lot better than it probably was. we'll have to see what happens in Dallas. Again, the loss of Amari Cooper, I know you guys don't know my opinion on that yet, but the loss of Amari Cooper is going to be bigger than a lot of Cowboys fans think. And re-signing Schultz is big in saving that offense, because without Schultz and Amari Cooper, that offense is probably falling apart. Huge franchise tag. Hopefully they work out an extension with Schultz, because he is one of the top 12 tight ends in the game. And then finally, the last franchise tag I think that's notable to talk about, David Njoku out of the Browns. This one is interesting. I don't like it. The Browns have Austin Hooper, who's kind of been a wishy-washy free agent addition. They have Hunter Bryant, the draft. I think he was out of Wisconsin. Not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. Again, really good tight end. So franchise tagging a tight end when your team needs a lot of talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where you could use an extra edge rush, you could use probably an extra safety. I didn't get it. Maybe they thought that Njoku was valuable enough that they could trade him, but the trade from a franchise tag doesn't happen a lot. And if it was, you would have saw J.C. Jackson get tagged and traded. It's not as easy as a lot of fans like to say. We'll have to see. But if I'm, the Browns, I don't think tagging Njoku is a priority. I don't think his market would have been that great. May have been a little expensive, $11 million a year, but the franchise tag him, I just didn't get it. Just some other news I want to talk about before I end this, because who even knows if I'll be able to get this out on YouTube. The last thing I'd like to talk about is Amari Cooper. Now, Patriots fan, you'll probably see it on the video. I really want Amari Cooper. I think the loss for him in Dallas was huge. And let me explain why. Dallas was running a really good three-receiver set. Now, they weren't all healthy. Gallup, I think, was dealing with some injuries, and CD got hurt a little mid-season, so they weren't always healthy. But the thing about Amari Cooper is he's consistent, and that's hard to come by in the NFL, especially at receiver. And you're seeing receivers have really, really good seasons, and then they kind of fall from grace. Some come back, kind of like Odell, but some, just kind of drift into this 600 yards a season type deal. Amari Cooper will go out there, and he's going to get you about 1,000 yards, about 7 touchdowns a season. That's about what he averaged with Dallas over 4 years. I think 2 seasons were incomplete because of injuries. He's consistent. He's going to get you your yards. He's going to get you some touchdowns, and he's going to take, most likely, the attention of the first corner on the other team. And that's something that you just can't get out of a lot of receivers. I would love Amari Cooper in New England. It's probably going to cost a lot of money, and I don't know if Bill Belichick will do that. Like I said earlier, he likes to save that cap for when he needs it and for the undrafteds. However, Amari Cooper in New England would be great. Some other fits for him, I think him in Miami would be spectacular. As much as I don't like Miami, him in Miami would make a lot of sense. He would help Jalen Waddle. He would help the other guys. Beautiful. And I think that's about it. It's about what I wanted to talk about. So I just wanted to say one more time, guys, thank you for listening in. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this first episode will be out today. I'm currently recording this on March 9th. Hopefully it comes out March 9th. If not, I'll try to record it tomorrow and upload it. But thank you guys again. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time on this next episode of the FullBack Dive podcast. See ya.